Okay, I should know it better. But in any case, until 2013, we can swear behind a reference. Make sure the earliest filing date is more than 1 year before your filing date. If it's not, call your inventor, or in many cases, I've sworn behind references simply by looking at my file. My file, and my files are electronic, and I know the exact date when I did the first first draft, the novelty search, when I got disclosures. It's all dated in my file system. I have backups. I've just taken my directory listing from my backup system. I got into use Linux for everything. I've gone into it, given a directory listing with the date, the file permissions. Here it is. Here it is. This is proof that he had conceived of it and had actually reduced it to practice. In that case, and showed us beforehand. All right, welcome back. I'd just like to encourage people to send in questions that if I don't answer them during, I'll answer them at the end. Time permitting, I think we'll have some time, and we could also go a little bit extra to answer questions if need be. So feel free to send those in, and I'll answer them as best I can. All right, so we're still in the before we get started slide. Look at the search report. I talked about this a little before. See where he searched. If they find a lot, they spend a lot of time. It gives you some clues. If they did comes out 50 pages of searches, actually it's lines, this might be 75 lines of searching, and you can see they search all sorts of different things. You might be satisfied that, hey, they probably found everything out there. You're not getting too much new art, necessarily, but once they understand your invention, maybe you get more. It'll give you some clues, at least, that you can look into it. Reality, most first office actions are poor. Again, that press for time thing. A lot of office actions no one responds to begin with. No one looks over them again until they have a final office action, and then maybe it'll see another set of eyes. Sometimes I've heard attorneys that will use pre-appeal just as a threat to get the examiner to do something, because if he really did a lousy job, he's not going to want to look it over. It's not really a threat. It's really, hey, they did a lousy job. You're entitled to appeal it. And the reality is most office actions, they get at least one rejection, whether it's warranted or not. Some you get right through. Happens. I've had it happen a couple times. Make sure your information disclosure statement's in before the first office action for that reason. So that happened to an attorney once. He got a first office action. He looked at it and his face went white. I haven't filed my information disclosure statement. That's a problem. You need to get that in. So he ended up filing an RCE continuation just to get the prior art on the record, because he had a notice of allowance mailed to him. That type of thing. All right. So, given understanding the reality of the situation, I'm just trying to give a pragmatic approach here. Then next slide, step one is do the high-level analysis. What's the point? What's the problem solved? What's your technology doing? Review, refresh your recollection. That's something I stole from evidence class, refreshing recollection. I don't think I've ever actually used that in court, but refresh your recollection before getting sidetracked by the prior art. Know who you are before you let other people tell you who you are. That type of thing. Any self-help book will tell you that. Put this in your head, and even better, write out a paragraph in your own word with citations. And not only that, if you write out that paragraph, this is what my technology is. It teaches this, and I quote it. Here, it's in paragraph 37, bracket 0037, and bracket. It says this, and then my technology teaches this in that bracket. That paragraph you may very well use in your office action. You've written it out. It's definitely not a waste of time, because, hey, you've done your work for writing the office action too. Review the cited art. What's its point? What's it trying to drive at? If it's a method for configuring a server, but it's configuring it at a very low level, like something like configuring your BIOS of a computer, compared to configuring a user interface, that's very different. I've had a citation like that where it's just opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay, they both say certain things. I upload the file from computer A to computer B, but other than that, hey, this is real different. So that sort of thing. Understand where your technology is. If you understand it, that's best. And in some cases, don't be afraid to consult your client. Don't be afraid to consult your colleagues, your other attorneys who might know the industry. If you know the industry and you can look at it, hey, all the better. But patent attorneys, we accept any client who comes our way, and we're hopefully good learners. If a person comes to me and can describe the technology to me, I like learning new things. That's part of the reason I went into this field. Maybe other of you did too. I like the fact that, hey, it stays new and interesting. I deal with clients, I deal with people, and they're in vastly different areas. They come to me, they explain their technology, I learn it, I learn about a new technology area, and I sound nerdier at dinner parties, whatever it is. So I can talk to different kinds of nerds. I can talk to the electrical nerd, I can talk to the telecom nerd, I can talk to the mechanical nerd. It's very useful. So once you do that, once you understand what you're doing, high-level analysis example. So here's a real application. I tried to pick a somewhat simple application with a very straightforward office action, and decent office action, I might add. So we had written in our specification, and this patent is about to issue, but it's all public record that I'm giving here, anything not I've redacted. A spherical ball with internal transponder freely movable about an interior space such that the transponder falls to the gravitational bottom. What we mean in English is this is a bingo ball with a movable RFID transmitter inside, a radio frequency identification tag, like your Easy Pass, for those of you in different art units, shall we say. So this prevents the ball from getting lost by rolling away as, oh, we have a question here. All right, I'll just finish this slide. This prevents the ball from getting lost by rolling away as the transponder is constantly working against the centrifugal ball of the motion of the ball. I thought that was a pretty cool argument that we put in there. So as the ball rolls, it's got this thing that's a counterweight, basically stopping it from rolling too far as opposed to a regular bingo ball. And it does meet the New Jersey gaming requirements that, I think, don't quote me on that, but pretty sure it meets the New Jersey gaming requirements because it is a balanced ball nonetheless. It's balanced the way it's produced and so forth. Further, as recited in paragraph 39, this has important implications for efficient reading of data on the transponder, as the reader is placed immediately below, I'm saying that loud because I'm going to refer back to that, immediately below or next to the known position of the transponder and the ball is in a resting position. So, we have a spherical ball, we have a movable transponder, it sinks to the bottom, you can see it on the next, it's actually not on the next slide, it sinks to the bottom, and now I have my reader below. Here's my ball, here's my reader, transponder right there. It can read it very easily because my RFID tag is right next to my reader. All right, so I'm going to hold off on this question just to finish this section. High-level analysis example, a cited prior art. So he cites US 2006-0046-837. All right, it's well before my filing date. 2006 publication, it was tended to be filed 18 months before, not necessarily, I'm not going to go into publication dates. Filed, 2005, 2004. I filed mine now in 2010. I couldn't get behind that reference, but it's directed towards balls that are made of translucent resin with an RFID tag. So it's a ball with translucent resin. How do you make resin? So that's a little bit of a, I don't necessarily know. I'm not an expert on resin, but you talk to people, you look it up. Wikipedia is sometimes a great resource. Wikipedia is your friend. Very easy to get information. Library might also be your friend. I think they still have those today. Most of it's on the internet. But this translucent resin, I'm pretty sure if you make something with resin, you're going to be making it solid. The thing is not going to be freely movable. So the examiner cited, or the office action cited, figure 3 of the Ito reference shows the RFID tag 3 fixed to a plane passing through the center of ball 2. No, I'm sorry, that's not the examiner. He didn't say that. That's my response. RFID tag 3 is at a plane passing through the center of ball 2. So there it is. He cited that figure, and there it is. I put that figure right in the slide. You can see it looks like it's in the center. No reference has been located as to whether the ball is hollow or solid, or that the RFID tag is anywhere other than its fixed position shown in figure 3. The reference was not explicit. It really didn't say either way. I give the examiner credit. I think I would have tried that argument too if I were him. And seeing what the response is. His job is to make sure it's patentable. So here, client, or my client, attorney, whatever, look at this and tell me, how is this patentable over it? You're supposed to work with him. It's not supposed to really be adversarial. Here, I've cited this. This has this problem. Let's talk about it now. That's the way I view it. Okay, you've cited this. Let's have a conversation. As Mitt Romney and they all say in the debates, and I think Obama used it before him, let's have a conversation. We ought to have a conversation about that. Until someone finally said, we're at a debate, Senator. We're having that conversation now. You're having that conversation now. Have the examiner interview, have the conversation. So I had that conversation with him. Actually, I did this one in writing. And I said, look, it's not clear. burden of proof, and I cited in the MPEP, the burden of proof for finding each and every limitation, it has to be in the office action. It's on the patent office. You have to cite this. It's not clear. And I said it very friendly, you know. Well, it might be possible. It's highly improbable that's what he's doing with resin, which is, I think, usually solid. And so forth. So that's the kind of argument that I made there. All right, let's take the question. The question from the webcast viewer. I have several applications from the same inventor pending. The examiner continues to cite a single prior art reference so broadly as to almost preclude any further invention in that field. Yeah, here. I distinguish the claim language in our application from the claim language in our prior art invention as best I can. But this examiner is very stubborn. Is there anything further I can do? Well, I guess I would answer, did you have an examiner interview? I can give you, there's many examples, but I'll give you one example. A prior attorney had handled this case. You can look at this on my website. It's one of the patents I got issued, because, hey, I'm going to talk about the ones I got issued, not the ones I didn't. So it's one that I got issued. A prior attorney had handled this, I think, 2005. I took over in 2010. 5 years, he's going back and forth, and he just got so agitated, and he was back and forth with the same arguments, and he was largely right, but they weren't budging. He had never conducted an examiner interview. Never once did he talk to the examiner and explain it. I'm gonna hold off on answering the rest of this, but until we get to the examiner interview part. But that's big. Statistics show that when you have an in-person thing, you know, like I'm looking at the camera, when I'm looking at the camera and talking to you and point to you and whatever else I do, that's more effective than if I write it down and you read it. It's more effective when you make eye contact for someone. Taxi driver about to hit you. I had fun, getting here. I'm in Lower Manhattan. Taxi driver about to hit you. You look at him. He sees your eyes. It's much harder to hurt someone who sees your eyes. So that's the best to do in person, and you can really talk to them. Phone, second best. To do a phone interview because, hey, maybe you're not in the Washington area. I'm not. Arlington, Virginia. It's expensive to go down to Virginia. Clients don't want to pay you for that. So, some attorneys, they'll build up like, hey, 5 examiner interviews, schedule them the same day, take the train down, come back next day, whatever it is. It's not a bad idea. It's a good idea, actually, because that's best. Talk to them. Talk to the examiner. There's other things you can do if you have a final rejection. Notice a pre-appeal. Did that once. I did that recently in an application where they keep citing based on a provisional that was filed, which just based on things that were in the non-provisional, using the provisional filing date. I swore behind the non-provisional, and he's still citing things in the provisional. Got nowhere with the examiner, I got nowhere with the supervisor. Pre-appeal brief worked very well, but then they really did the job, and I really got I got new rejection with totally new art and totally new arguments. Clients not so happy about that, but hey, that's how it goes. The idea is to get something patentable, everything out there. So that's really the way to get it to move. There's also, you can petition to have an examiner removed. I've never done it, I don't recommend it, but hey, something to throw out there, petition to remove an examiner if he's really doing a terrible job, but you better be right, because you want a petition to have it removed, he's still handling your application. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. All right, so high-level analysis recap. So we've reviewed our claims, we've looked at the prior art itself, we've picked out differences in the claim features. Now we're ready to look at arguments in the office action. We're ready to, now that we know what we're talking about, we've written what we have, what they have, what does he say in the office action? So here's the LCTA method. Maybe it'll teach us in patent law schools. Next to IRAC, you take the patent law class, LCTA. I don't know, I'm not so happy with those initials. Maybe we can come up with better initials. Send me an email after to come up with better names for this and better initials. But remember, an office action isn't proper unless each and every limitation is cited in the prior art. Practically speaking, they have to talk about each and every limitation, show it in the prior art, or say, it's obvious. Yeah, great, you added a light bulb. Anyone can add a light bulb to that. If you're not Edison with the light bulb patent, it's not obvious there. But today, adding a light bulb to something is generally pretty obvious if that's the only thing you're hanging your hat on. All right. If one of the 3 is used, they must give a proper reason for the combination. Often it's very conclusory. Review KSR, cite KSR. CFC cases are good as well as BPAI, Board of Patent Appeals and Interferences. Cite those cases. Those are often very good because they're more on the practice area, I find, than the higher level courts are more on bigger issues, and there aren't as many of them. But BPAI cases, you can find some good stuff in there about claim language and so forth, and obviousness and whatnot.